what we did is we chose a farm in a place, in an environment where we can actually produce all year round. So obviously I can't sell tomatoes all year round, but I can sell seasonal crops. And I stay in the marketplace all the time, so my place is always there, and my customers always have something they can buy from me. And so that's really good for the economics. Plus, it spreads our risk, out over 4 seasons, 52 weeks of production. So if we have a disaster with a crop, we have the opportunity of recovering from it in the next couple of months with other crops. Whereas if you're monocropping or something like that, you have a disaster with a crop where you're up a creek without a paddle until the next year. We try as much as possible to have full-time year-round employees, and we try to design our production system to maintain that. Unfortunately, in the summer, everything is just so much more productive than the other parts of the year that it's impossible to not have to grow the crew, even though we'd rather not.
Yeah.
I wish we could have a system that we could just do it all with our regular employees all year long, but we haven't been able to figure it out quite how to do that yet. So, when you have people that work for you full-time year-round and for a number of years, we've got employees that have worked for us for 15, 20 years, and there's just a loyalty there, there's an interest. They know that they take an interest in the business because it's their sustenance, you know what I mean? And they take a pride in the product that goes off the farm, and so it's just a good social contract, that kind of employment. But it is unique and unusual around here because probably your average farm worker in this area would work maybe 5 to 7 months a year. So if you have to sell your product cheaply, then you have to cut all kinds of corners. And cutting corners is mechanization, is scale, is monoculture, is using chemicals, and using genetically engineered products now and stuff like that. Those are the only ways that guys can compete in a market where they're constantly, the price is constantly being driven down. And so you get what you pay for. And if you don't pay for product that you lavish labor on, or you pull the weeds out by hand instead of spraying some chemical in there, then my costs of producing that way are higher. And so I have to be compensated for them, or I can't produce it. So,
I mean, it's the same thing with your labor practices, right? I mean, it'd be cheaper probably to rely on less.
Well, but here's another subsidy. Because of the fact that I've got customers that are supporting me producing off of this ground all year round, I can keep my employees working 12 months of the year instead of 6 months of the year, okay? So if I was a monoculturist and had to sell my food cheap, my employees would be on the lam for 6 months out of the year. Now, what kind of subsidies are going to be required to take care of those people in the community? They're going to have to get free food stamps. They're going to have to get free health care. They're going to have to get help with their rent. They're going to have to suck off of the community, basically. And so they don't have to do that for my employees because people are paying me a fair price for the food that we're all producing and we're working out here, How long has monoculture really been on the planet, So this new, industrial monoculture model has not been around very long, and I don't think it's been demonstrated to be, although a given, it's producing a huge quantity of cheap food right now. But I don't know that it's been demonstrated to be able to do that over centuries. And I'm not sure that what I'm doing here is sustainable, because I like to say that agriculture itself is an experiment. It's 10,000 years old, but human beings have been around for maybe 200,000 years. We've only been practicing agriculture for 5% of human history. We don't know if it works because a lot of environment has been degraded, and some of it that was fabulously productive won't produce a damn thing anymore because of the abuse of agriculture. If that continues, agriculture is going to be a failed experiment at some point. All of agriculture, So we really can't assume that any type of practice of agriculture is perfect or sustainable. And we have to continue evolving the experiment in a positive way. And if we get hung up and say, well, this is it, it may crash and burn on us, and the whole human population is in peril. So I think it's very important to understand that agriculture is an experiment. I think in 1960, we paid about 15% for food in this country of our incomes and 5% on health care. Well, now in 2000 something, we're spending more like 5% on food and 15% on healthcare. So we've flipped that around. So what's going on here? And I think the best opportunity that we have in the next generation is the really positive connection that's being established now between people's health and the kind of food that they eat. The ultimate solution to that is not industrial organics either, but it's more local food systems where you have really fresh local food and access to that, and eat seasonally from your local environment as much as possible. You know, I'm not going to say that we're going to eliminate all industrial production or all movement of food products, you know, over long distances or whatever, but we could go an incredibly long way to reestablishing local food systems. But, I mean, we had them essentially, you know, 50, 60 years ago. There's a worldwide problem in both developed and lesser developed countries of the human population basically abandoning the countryside. I mean, it's we're kind of tell people that the way to get rich is to go to the urban places and get involved in, you know, manufacture and service, and there's a degradation of the value of agricultural work and of growing the food that we all absolutely require. You know, I like to tell people if they eat food, they're farmers. Get your kids excited about good food and about where it comes from, and come out here and take over Willie's farm. Or start your own.